The Shark Deck.
Hey man, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Matt Rife. I wanted to tell you about this yesterday, but there was so much strife yesterday. Matt Rife has a new special coming to Netflix titled Natural Selection. Rife will leave no topic untouched, from crystals to social media trolls, and no audience member spared. You're going to have to wait a minute because he hasn't even taped it yet. He'll tape it on September 22nd and 23rd at Constitution Hall in Washington, D.C. This all part of the Problematic Tour, which is sold out for a run of more than 260 dates. Wow. Jimmy Kimmel on Strike Force 5. That's the podcast the 5 late night guys are doing. I heard Kimmel on Monday's Bill Simmons say that the first 5 episodes have been recorded. So if you're waiting to hear Jimmy Fallon talk about Fallon Gate, you might have to wait. And I wonder if they'll talk about Fallon Gate at all. Maybe they will. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But that podcast doing very well, even if they can't get John Oliver on a proper microphone and he sounds like he's in a cave. And they're making lots of headlines. Jimmy Kimmel told the story about trying to use the time off for the writer's strike to get a vasectomy. He made an appointment, shaved you got to shave some stuff. Kimmel said it's complicated, it's a little bit scary. There's nothing smooth in that area. It's like shaving chewing gum. And the day didn't go as planned. Kimmel's Uber driver overheard him talking about his vasectomy plans and suggested another option instead, which is semen retention. Hold on. Jimmy Kimmel's taking an Uber to a vasectomy? He doesn't have a car, a driver or anything? How much money does Jimmy Kimmel make? $15 million a year. Jimmy Kimmel takes Ubers? He doesn't have a service? Was he on? Wait, am I misunderstanding? Maybe his wife could have driven him to the vasectomy? I don't know. Anyway, as the story goes, Kimmel's Uber driver, whenever he was in this Uber, overheard him talking about his vasectomy plans, suggested another option, semen retention. Colbert said, did he have a bunch of jars in the front seat? Fallon said, is it like holding in a sneeze? Kimmel said, honestly, I think it's something he learned about in one of those podcasts these young guys listen to. Then he said, him meeting me in the Uber is one of his desires, and it manifested somehow. We had a very long ride home. Okay, so this wasn't on the way to the vasectomy. That's why I don't read the articles in advance. It's no fun if I do that. Oliver joked, I think he may have inadvertently clicked the box on the Uber app that says, please talk to me about semen retention. That's either a 1-star ride or a 5-star ride, and I think it might be both. Jim Gaffigan was on Bill Maher's podcast last week. I finally got to listen to the whole thing. Really enjoyed it to the point where I pulled a transcript for it. At one point, Maher asked Jim Gaffigan why he tours with Jerry Seinfeld. Like, they can both sell out. They don't need each other's help. Gaffigan said, because it's fun to hang out with other comedians. It gives us an opportunity to do a show, and we do this in New York City all the time. We'll do a show at Gotham, and then we'll hang out afterwards, usually just for half an hour, 45 minutes. And I'll be talking about comedy because some of it, I think of Jerry as kind of the comedy Socrates. He doesn't engage in gossip. He engages in discussions of comedy, which all comedians do, but we can sit there, and some of it is the craft of joke writing, Maher said, I got to New York in 79. I think he was a couple years before me. I think he started in 76. So he was always like this calm head of the class guy, not like arrogant about it, just like aware of what you had to do to get on TV and be successful and do this act everyone could get. It seems to be a week for dusting off old beefs. A clip of Allie Wong on Trevor Noah's Daily Show from 2019 resurfaced on TikTok. Allie Wong had a confrontation with a white male comedian. She didn't reveal who it was, said he was not a very successful comedian, and told Trevor Noah, I don't even know if you'd know who he was. She explained that the comedian approached her while she was pregnant and touched her belly with, quote, his fat, sweaty hand, as she described as so gross to begin with. She said, just because I'm pregnant doesn't mean it's okay for you to touch my belly. He referred to her pregnancy. She then said the comedian said, so this is your shtick now? Her reply, getting pregnant is not rainbow suspenders. I'll come back to that. The comedian told her she was so lucky because she receives all this attention because she's both female and minority. Her comeback, because historically there's always been the winning combo for recognition and success. And he was like, you know what I mean? Like me, I'm just another white guy. She said back, be a better white guy, and then cited some successful white male comedians like Jimmy Kimmel, Will Ferrell, Nick Kroll, John Mulaney, and on and on. So that's rotten. No one should touch her. No one should accuse pregnancy of being a gimmick. But her line about rainbow suspenders being a gimmick, so comedian rainbow suspenders, that's Robin Williams, right? Is that a gimmick? Is John Mulaney wearing suits a gimmick? I don't know. I think suggesting Robin Williams as a gimmick comedian is that's a little harsh. Sam J will have a new special on HBO September 23rd. That'll be out at 10 o'clock. What can fans expect from Sam J's new special, which is called Salute Me or Shoot Me? Well, Sam J takes the stage at Brooklyn Steel for a hilariously frank discussion on embracing our differences, the stresses of long-term relationships, and the power of empathy. Newly engaged, Sam J gets candid about life with her future wife and the unknown stresses of being the man, the grim reality of trash day, and more. Chris Getherd is in the middle of the New Jersey is the World Tour. He's hitting all of New Jersey's 21 counties. Each show will be at very intimate venues. He says the largest is 55 seats with hyper-local reference crowd work and other Jersey comedians joining him. He said, I've always prided myself on being able to look at the comedy scene and to see where the coolest stuff is happening, and I feel lucky to tell you right now, something effing cool is happening in Jersey. A lot of hardworking, hilarious, versatile comics are doing great things around here. I take no credit for it, but I'm happy to help shine a spotlight on it. If you're local to New Jersey, you're in Montclair, tonight, Silverstream Studio. Tomorrow, Union, New Jersey at Van Gogh's Ear Cafe. Jersey City on the 15th at Pet Shop. The 16th, Vinyl Brewing in Hamilton, New Jersey. Been there for many a soccer tournament. September 17th, Yearbook Records at Lanoka Harbor. And then a gap to the 24th, he'll be at Pino's Highland Park. The New York Daily News profiled Gary Gulman's upcoming book, which is called Misfit, Growing Up Awkward in the 80s. The News calls it a clever, self-effacing, and sometimes melancholy 300-page-ish tome that lets readers see how Gary Gulman got from ABC to ECT. The Daily News talked about how Gary's openness and nice nature, he is a really nice guy, has made him both a poster boy for mental health and the resident dry shoulder for other comedians, a role he embraces. He says, I'm happy to do it because I'm grateful that I feel better and I feel an obligation to humanity to try and help people along. I used to think at the very least I could make people forget about their troubles, at least while I'm on stage, and maybe feel less alone. Young Gary was mostly kept company in the afternoons by Sesame Street. He said, it was so helpful to have Sesame Street as a rehorse. I always felt that I was a Bert in an Ernie world. He cites as his favorite comedy sketch ever, Grover as a haphazard waiter to an angry bald customer. The News writes, like Gulman, Grover, a furry blue monster, thank you Daily News, is well-meaning, a lot smarter than he lets on, and someone who just wants to save the world, at least from itself. The book is out on the 19th. He'll do a book signing at Brooklyn's Littlefield on launch day. Gulman says he's been practicing his signature. I remember meeting Ray Bradbury, and he signed my notebook and my old copy of Fahrenheit 451, and he also drew a picture of a cat. The line was out the door. He was in no rush. He was so kind. I just want to emulate him during the tour the same way that David Sedaris is so kind for the people who wait. I think this is a very special connection between a writer and someone who takes the time to read their books, so I want to express my gratitude for that. A new special on 800-Pound Gorilla, Jake Rush's Overwhelming Neutral. 800-Pound Gorilla has their own blog, so this is, Pravda for comedy, but, I'll take it seriously. They wrote, within the first minute of a special, Jake Rush jokes that just last week, I actually delivered a pizza to the university I graduated from to people that knew me. He quotes someone at his graduation saying, hey, everybody give it up if you're an actor. I didn't realize at the time, but that was actually the best advice I got in college. Those are two good jokes. The Gorilla says the 1-2 punch shares some overlap with the one-liners of Anthony Jeselnik. A few minutes in, spoilers, Rush mentions he used to work as a college comedian, made slight waves after seeing a sign calling for the song Baby It's Cold Outside to be canceled, clarifying, how can you cancel that Christmas carol because the woman is in danger, but completely turn a blind eye to Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer? He then goes on to dismantle the song, going from the main premise, considering the hoof prints on her front and claw marks on her back, before shifting the joke with the line, newsflash, reindeer don't have claws. The joke then pivots to how she was flipped over for possible murder and ends with a degree of certainty that she was a cult sacrifice. That sounds like a great special. It's called Overwhelmingly Neutral. The artist is Jake Rush. That should be on YouTube tonight. Jake Rush, Overwhelmingly Neutral. And at heart, I'm 12 years old. This story I did on my other podcast, 5 Good News Stories, which is just a bunch of smile stories. It was Friday, September 1st, the kickoff to Labor Day weekend. The general manager at the Quality Inn in Absecon, New Jersey, went out to open the pool and noticed it was covered in blue stuff that was turning the water green. At this point in the summer, the GM knew the drill. The staff at the motel drained the pool, washed it down, filled it back up. 3 hours later, people were swimming. But when the general manager returned hours later to drop off supplies for the next morning's breakfast, the pool turned yellow before her eyes. She checked the security cameras. Nobody had driven by. There were no cars in sight. No one walked past the pool or thrown something in. So she called a detective at the Galloway Township Police Department. She told the detective, it has to be a drone. The detective said, you might be onto something. Okay, you ready for this now? That day, the Galloway Police, in partnership with the Federal Aviation Administration, the New Jersey State Police and the Absecon Police Department tracked a drone as it flew from the Quality Inn to a nearby heating and cooling business. There, they arrested a man who has been charged with multiple counts of criminal mischief and harassment. The accusation: the man operated an unmanned aircraft via remote control and used it to drop packets of sea dye into neighborhood pools. Sea dye is a chemical used in water rescues. It turns water different colors, from bright yellow to fluorescent green. Apparently, this went on all summer. On August 13th, an Absecon homeowner called the police to report a drone had hovered over their pool and dropped a substance into the water that turned the water green. The detective said similar reports soon emerged from around the area. He described the investigation as ongoing. I know this is terrible. Can you just imagine being the cop taking these calls? Asked about a motive, the cops suggest all indications are that the accused had been pranking people. This is how much this went on. The pool back at the hotel first turned green on June 22nd. The GM said at first it happened every other week. Then it started happening more frequently. The week before the police figured it out, the pool turned green on both Thursday and Friday. The GM said he was getting too happy doing it. She was happy to get a call from the detective who told her nightmare summer was finally over. The GM said, "I said thank you. I can breathe now." And that's your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. See you tomorrow.